Welcome back to Squawk Box, everyone. The Senate is back from recess, and health care reform is front and center. Joining us right now is Wyoming Senator Dr. John Barrasso. And Senator, thanks for being here today. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Becky. Good to see you. Thank you.
Where do things stand? We've heard again and again that the health care reform passed by the House is dead on arrival in the Senate, that you all are working on your own legislation. Where does that process stand?
You're absolutely right. We are writing our own bill in the Senate. We've been meeting quite extensively to talk about the issues of health care reform. But let's talk about why we need to do this. All around the country, prices have continued to go up and choices for people have gone down. We see in Nebraska, Blue Cross Blue Shield has just pulled out. No one is offering insurance on exchanges in big parts of the country. So we need to do something to get people the care they need from a doctor they choose at lower costs. That's our focus.
Over the weekend, the New York Times wrote a front page story about how those on the left are now looking at an even more extreme option of universal health care. It seems like the two parties are kind of fracturing and going different directions. How do you add all of that together and come up with something at the end of the day?
Well, you're right, Becky. When you take a look at what California Democrats have proposed in the legislation there, as well as at their state party, universal health care for all. They've priced it out, and they said it'd be about $400 billion, which is twice the general fund for the entire state of California. So to do just that, what they want to do on health care, their own budget people say, is you'd have to spend all the money we spend on everything, including teachers, firefighters, police, and raise taxes at the same time. It is just not possible to do those sorts of things. We're focused on responsible legislation that helps people get care, get affordable insurance. That's what our focus is. And I think the Obama health care law has made it worse. But we need a health care plan that was better than we had before Obamacare was passed. I was practicing medicine back then. We needed health care reform. We didn't get it done, and I think Obamacare has made it worse.
Senator, it's Walter Isaacson. Good to talk to you again.
Hey, good to be with you, Walter.
Sure. You say you're working on it in the Senate. Are there going to be some Democrats who work with you on this, and might this have some bipartisan component? Because one of the mistakes perhaps that President Obama made was doing it on party line. And once again, the House did it that way. It would seem that one hope is the Senate might actually try to get something that's to some extent bipartisan.
Well, I agree with you, Walter. I think a bipartisan approach is the best approach. There are a number of different working groups. Some of them are bipartisan. I had a meeting in my office a week ago with 10 senators, 3 of whom were Democrats, along with Atul Gawande, the surgeon in Boston who writes frequently for the New Yorker, just talking about what we need to do to try to move forward with health care reform in this country at a time with an aging population. You know, he wrote the book Being Mortal about what is happening as our parents are aging. So we need solutions for all of society. We need to strengthen and make sure that Medicare remains strong and provides care for those people. We also have the next generation that's coming up. We need to make sure care is there as well.
Senator, why did Richard Burr say that? You know, what gets into someone's head when they say just being realistic about not doing it this year? And do you disagree with him, or is it 2018 for the Senate?
Well, I think it's really important that we do health care reform because people around the country, certainly I heard about it over Memorial Day at home in Wyoming, people are concerned with the growing costs and the loss of choices.
So it's possible this year or not?
Oh, absolutely possible and necessary this year. Not just possible, but necessary.
So why did he say that?
Every senator speaks for himself or herself. We need to do health care reform.
That's the problem, I think, right now, especially on the GOP side. Do you think that you can sell? You said something very telling, and that is access, affordable access. But you may not get the kind of coverage that's going to play in the media. It'd be great to have affordable access. Then people can get it, get health care, pay for it. It does, the premiums don't go up, but you're going to have to deal with that. Maybe not 24 million, but you're going to have to deal with headline risk that you're taking people off of Obamacare to give tax breaks to billionaires. It's going to be very difficult on the PR side of things to convince people that getting access is preferable to just trying to cover everyone.
Well, what we know is that even under Obamacare, 20 million people have chosen not to go on, either paid the fine, got an exemption under the mandate. So we know that Obamacare has failed significantly. We know that a lot of people added to Medicaid have a hard time getting a doctor. And when you look at the numbers that have reported out of the people that are supposedly going to lose insurance, these are people that don't have it right now. It's just that the actuaries would take a look at that and say, well, if Obamacare were to continue, they would get it. But, Joe, let's face it, Obamacare can't continue. It is collapsing all around the country. That's why it's critical we do something, and we do it this year.
Okay, Senator. You go ahead. Thank you, Senator. Senator Barrasso. Godspeed. I don't know.
Thanks for having me.
All right.